You're not such and such. Well, no, I'm his wife. Well, this insurance money's going to such and such. That's his ex-wife. He divorced her 15 years ago, and you're telling me she's getting that $1 million of life insurance? Yeah, she is. Hi, Jeff Pasacci, the Plain English Attorney, and welcome to the video. Today, we're going to do a quick one on three nasty secrets that most people don't understand about wills and the last will and testament. You talk to attorneys, you talk to your friends, you talk to your neighbors, and it just seems like the last will and testament is the end all and be all of estate planning. Well, why is that? It's because it's simple to read, simple to understand, but yet most people don't really know exactly what a will covers and how it works. It's just one of those things they've always been told that they need, and so they go ahead and do it. However, it's really one piece of what could be comprehensive estate planning that's going to get you exactly what you want. Unfortunately, just having the will may be the exact opposite of what you want. So, here are those three nasty secrets that a lot of attorneys really aren't doing all that much to reveal. Number one, a will does not avoid probate. I hear this all the time. It's, well, wait a minute. I have a will. My estate doesn't have to go through probate. Not true. A will is actually, quote, your ticket to probate because the will only covers assets that are still titled in your name after you've passed on. And therefore, the will has to give direction to the probate court, not to, oh, this is to my executor. They can just go and start collecting stuff. No, to the probate court in order to have everything get retitled after it makes sure all your debts are collected and paid off, all the taxes are handled, and all of this paperwork proving everything down to the penny. That's probate. And a lot of people want to avoid probate. That's generally why they're coming to my law firm. They don't want their estate to be in that court process. However, this is just not true that having a will avoids probate.
If you think it's important for educational videos like this to get out there, then please help us out by subscribing to the channel.
Now, when do they find out? When does the family member actually realize, oh, wait a minute, just having this document doesn't cover everything? It's usually when it's too late, when the person's already passed on, and the person who was named as the executor in the will goes down to the bank and they go, "Oh, see, here's the will that I'm listed as the executor. They died. I need to get all of their accounts and start distributing it, and I need to be able to pay their bills and handle all this stuff." And the bank looks at them and says, "Well, no, you need letters testamentary." Well, what are those? How do I get those? Oh, go see an attorney. And they make it sound like these letters testamentary are just something that can get typed up. We hear this all the time. Oh, yeah, I went to the bank. My dad died. I need to start collecting stuff. Can you type up letters testamentary for me? No. Okay, here's exactly what we're talking about. Letters testamentary are the permission papers from the probate court saying, yes, this is the person who is now legally representing the estate in this filed court action in order to get a hold of these things so we can run them through the probate meat grinder. It's not a simple thing. It's not something that can just be typed up. You're basically filing a lawsuit. That's the way it should be looked at and treated. The will just says, hey, after this lawsuit's done, here's where I want my stuff to go, and here's the people I want in charge of it. If you want to learn more about probate and avoiding these big downsides in probate, check out my book, Estate Planning Basics, that's available on Amazon.com. And we will put a link in the description to that. All right, so what is the second nasty secret about wills? A will doesn't cover everything. And this is probably even more prevalent than the, oh, I have a will, so my estate avoids probate. People assume that if you have a last will and testament and you draft out, here's exactly where I want everything to go, here are age limits, here are restrictions, here's how I want. They assume that it's covering everything. Well, why wouldn't you? Everybody's telling you to get a last will and testament to handle your estate. Well, no, it handles anything that goes into probate. All right, so let's just say you've got these your biggest items. You've got your house, and it's real estate. It's joint with the right of survivorship with your cousin Marty. But you put in your house that you want your half of your house from that you inherited to go to your sister Sheila. Okay, so you put in the will that Sheila gets the house. Oh, and I've got this stock account. I want it to go to two of my children. Well, no, I want it to go to four of my children, but when I set up the account, I only had two. The other two children came later, but I put in my will it goes to all four of my children. Okay, joint with a right of survivorship on property, real estate accounts, it goes to the other joint owners. It doesn't matter what's in your will. Oh, I said in my will I want this stock account to go to my four kids, but when I set up the account, I only had two kids. I want it to go to those two. It's going to those two kids. It's not going to all four, even though the will said it. And here's the other big thing. Most people assume that if they put in their last will and testament, I need some age restrictions. I need to make sure that this isn't going to my kids while they're too young. Yeah, my kids are 19 and 20. They're listed as the beneficiaries on my bank account, but I put in my will that they don't get anything until 30. Until then, it's in the hands of a trustee. No. Your will and those age restrictions in the will only affect what's in probate. So those kids at 19 and 21, anything happens to you, they're getting that money right away. Everybody screams, "Oh gosh, this is not right. That's not fair. My will says this." Well, look, the court doesn't care. The law doesn't care. You need to make sure that you are handling setting up the estate exactly right. And just doing a will and assuming it will cover everything isn't going to cut it when we have these other things out there, like joint property with the right of survivorship, beneficiary designations. It just doesn't all come together in a cohesive plan. That's why for a lot of our clients, we're doing revocable living trust because they want all of it to stay out of the probate court system. They want a comprehensive plan in one place. And then in the process, we run through, here's how your assets need to be titled to make sure it works properly. Here's how the beneficiary designations need to work in order for things to work properly and go according to your wishes. You can't just write it down on a piece of paper like a will and say, here's how it works. But titling and beneficiary designations, they don't they don't override. They're not overridden by the will. The will does not cover that stuff. So, if you want to learn more specifically about revocable living trusts, there's again estate planning basics, but we also put a course online. It's freetrustcourse.com, and that runs through a lot of these things. And that actually brings us right into the third nasty secret. A last will and testament doesn't override old beneficiary designations. And if you or someone you know has been divorced, this is one of the huge vulnerability areas that aren't covered by a last will and testament. And I see this all the time. Divorce attorneys, they're generally, I'm not saying they're not doing their job, it's not what they do. They're recommending to their clients once the divorce is final, or at least, okay, the assets are now separated, you have this agreement. You need to go and make sure you're doing your estate planning. You need to get a will done. You need to get a healthcare power of attorney done. You need to get a durable general power of attorney done. You need to get all of this stuff redone. All right. And so maybe they do that and they'd have a new will and it's okay, everything is going to my new spouse. Or if they pass on, it's going down to my kids. And meanwhile, They never go back to the life insurance, the stock accounts, the other stuff that may have been separated, but still lists their ex spouse as the beneficiary. Just because you have a new will doesn't necessarily mean that they're not getting the life insurance, that they're not getting the stock account. Now, this is definitely highly dependent on state law. I can just tell you, you need to look for your individual state or jurisdiction, because a lot of states will put into the law that if you don't update your will, but you get divorced, they simply treat the spouse as if they had passed on before you. So, all right, the will isn't the problem. It's these other contractual things that you put together with the life insurance and with the stock accounts and the other bank accounts and the things you set up that have beneficiary designations that avoid probate and therefore avoid the last will and testament and those terms. And you need to make sure that somehow or another that spouse wasn't, quote, considered deceased and just going to the next level beneficiaries. I talked with a, a life insurance agent that I know, and he's like, it happens every year, once, twice, sometimes three times. We send out letters every single year telling our clients, come in, let's review what you have, let's review the insurance, and let's review the beneficiary designations. And they never do. And here it is, 15 years since they got divorced, 10 years since they got remarried. Guy's just been paying the life insurance bill all along, and he dies. And then his widow, the current wife, comes in and says, yeah, I know he was paying on this life insurance. I need to get the proceeds. And they pull up the beneficiary designations like, well, wait a minute. You're not such and such. Well, no, I'm his wife. Well, this insurance money's going to such and such. That's his ex wife. He divorced her 15 years ago, and you're telling me she's getting that $1 million of life insurance? Yeah, she is, because that's what's in the contract. So the will doesn't cover that. The will doesn't override these old beneficiary designations. So it's really important not just to go and draft a will like everybody's telling you to. You got to look at these other things. Again, the will only covers what's in probate. Beneficiary designations and joint with a right of survivorship does not go into probate, so the will doesn't cover it. None of the age restrictions work, none of the contingencies work. It's all this kind of duct tape avoid probate stuff that you see with beneficiary designations and joint with a right of survivorship. That controls. If you don't change that up so that it goes into probate to be covered by the will, then the terms of the will don't apply. So this is something that I generally speak with my clients, and I say generally it's all or nothing. We have specific exceptions for specific things, but just going all nilly willy, and it's like, well, I got beneficiary designations on this, and I decided to do this, and you don't have a comprehensive plan anymore. If you wanted to avoid probate, set up a revocable living trust, have the assets in the trust, or have things go into the trust. Again, with maybe some exceptions for tax or other reasons. Or if you don't care about avoiding probate, then don't avoid probate. Have your last will and testament and have all of these items wholly in your name or payable upon death to your estate. And now the will control everything. You don't get 100% of what you want for your estate if you just do a last will and testament and not review the ownership and beneficiary designations on your assets. So I hope this gave you some good information on what exactly a will covers in these three big nasty secrets that aren't really out there. Please help spread the word on this so that other people know. Like and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with whomever you think really needs to take a look at it. And remember those other resources that we put in there for my book Estate Planning Basics, available on Amazon, as well as freetrustcourse.com. If you still want to go with the last will and testament, we also have some free materials out there at freesimplewillguide.com. Again, freesimplewillguide.com, and that will run through the basics of a last will and testament and what's needed with that type of plan. All right. So I hope you enjoyed that information. As I always tell my clients, please stay safe, plan ahead, and enjoy life. And whatever you do, make it a great day.